as the political advertising truck goes past. Oh, there's two of them. We say hello to another grumpy old man. I'm grumpy and so is Steve.
I'm grumpy as hell today. And this will only increase as we get closer to the election.
Oh.
There's going to be more and more and more and more.
What's happened to the peace in Thailand?
Damn democracy.
Okay, so rapid fire questions. We did this last time. 3 quick questions.
Okay.
Okay, so these are your questions. Books or films?
Which do I enjoy more? Is that the question? Or which would I choose? Or I grew up. My mother's a reading teacher, and I grew up. She was reading me Shakespeare in my crib, and I grew up adoring books and adoring authors. And the only thing I ever wanted to be in my life was a writer. And
you were.
I was. But I'm actually a much better prop man. So I worked in the film industry, television, film, and theater, and enjoyed the hell out of that. Now I find I don't have the attention span to read a novel. It's very difficult for me to read long form now. So I would have to say film now.
You get that sort of 90 minutes to 2 hour concentrated character development.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel, I don't feel as guilty pausing a movie to do something else as I do closing a book in the middle of a chapter. I can hear my mother's voice telling me to finish the chapter.
I used to like reading a lot more than I do now. Now the only reading I tend to do, I'm ashamed to say this, is, apart from the news each day, but I tend to open a book, read a couple of paragraphs really just as a means just to, I wake up 3 hours later and I'm sort of dribbling on the open page of the book. That's about the only reading I do these days.
Yeah.
I do tend to like watching my 75-inch TV screen.
Oh my.
What have you got? You don't have a TV in here.
I understand it's not the width of it, it's the girth that's important.
Right, moving on. Second question. Dinner parties or sunset drinks?
Being alone. I don't do social things with people. I've always been the guy at the party who stands in the corner and watches everybody else.
Steve, you would be a fantastic dinner guest. I would invite you and say,
thank you.
Oh, everybody, see, here's Steve, and he's going to tell you about his marriage. And there's the night gone. 3 hours later, we're sitting there sort of, ladling the cold soup, and you're still going on about it.
Some people complain about that, believe it or not. Some people say Steve talks too much.
But you'd be a great dinner guest.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So would you, if you were to sit down with a group of people, would you prefer a dinner at a table or sunset drinks?
I don't drink alcohol, so...
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I love to eat. So dinner. I would love to go to a dinner. Yes.
Pad Thai or Khao Pad Gai? Khao Pad Gai is chicken fried rice.
Yeah, well, I like khao man gai, khao man mu dang, all that. I love pad thai, but it is so unhealthy. It's sugar and it's oil and it's carbs, and
that's why I love it.
Yeah, for a treat, and like I have said, there's a place on the highway outside of town, 30 baht for a big damn plate of pad thai. You have that with an oliang, and oh my God, that's Thai. That's Thai living.
Or you go to that great vegetarian noodle place that serves noodles with meat.
Yeah. They're vegan noodles. But you can have them with pork. You can have them with chicken.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you're going for the Khao Pad Gai?
Sure, yeah.
By the way, they're very perfunctory sort of Thai dishes. There's a lot more, much more exotic and interesting stuff around.
These are the ham sandwiches of Thai cuisine.
That's a very, very good definition.
I should write that down.
On to our next topic. Steve, this is Grumpy Old Ben, by the way. Please subscribe to the channel because I just clicked over. Are you ready? 20,000 subscribers.
Congratulations. Good for you. You've earned it. You deserve it. And I'm sure those subscribers will be glad they subscribe.
Faint praise.
Why? No, I am. I mean, God knows I am edging up on 2,000 subscribers. I know how hard it is to build an audience.
Have you got any from doing this each week? Or
Yeah. No, I notice in my analytics, which is a button I just discovered,
Your analytics.
My analytic. Yeah, it never occurred to me, but yeah, it's in there, isn't it? It's first four letters of the word. Yeah, good spot. No, I do notice I drop my videos on Friday, and they'll do this, and then Sunday comes, and this drop, and boom, it goes up. So yeah, I'm very, very grateful for these invitations, and I'm very grateful for you people paying attention. Thank you very much.
Especially Clive. Clive, have you subscribed to Steve's channel?
Oh, I'm sure he has.
I think you should.
Yeah. He needs to read the book, though. You know, people, the
Which
trolls.
book?
Well, yeah, which of 5 books? Leaving Thailand is the memoir. That is the most.
The way he talks about Thailand each week, I think that would be the book he'd like the most, because I think he just hates Thailand and can't wait to go.
He does not seem satisfied. Yeah,
He's not
They
happy.
never do. But they ask questions. The trolls always ask questions like, "Well, what would your ex-wife say about your marriage?" I don't know, but I'd love to read that book. I have said this over and over and over and over in the books, in interviews. I'd love to read her book about our marriage. But they always say, well, what if I asked her? Yeah, do. Go.
Okay.
Read the book first.
Tell us about other authors before I get on to our first topic. God, we're 10 minutes in, we haven't even got to the first topic. What do you have any other favourite writers
Yes, of
about
course.
Thailand?
I have said before, I came to Thailand the first time in 1988 because I read a book by Jack Reynolds called A Woman of Bangkok. It treats the commercial sex industry. It was written in 1957, the year I was born, or published in 57. It probably took him years to write it. But it is the best, I think, portrayal of the commercial sex industry in Thailand done by a Farang. It is
Accurate?
I wasn't here in 1957, but in terms of the human dynamics of a woman who works in that industry and a man who comes into that industry as a consumer, falls in love with his provider.
A foreigner?
He's English. Yes,
Okay.
He's very English. So A Woman of Bangkok. Maipan Rai Means Never Mind by Carol Hollinger is the best memoir about Thailand. And I, as a memoirist who has written a memoir about Thailand, I will gladly tip my hat to Miss Hollinger and the story behind the publication of that book. She died of a cerebral hemorrhage 3 weeks before that book hit the stands, before it was on sale. It became a classic. There was a time when every expatriate in Thailand had read Maipan Rai Means Never Mind by Carol Hollinger, and her husband, in his grief at losing his wife, signed the publication over to DK Books. The family has never made a dime off that book. And I got an opportunity to interview her daughter in 1999, and her daughter still reads that book on the anniversary of her mother's death every year. That's a good one. Maipan Rai Means Never Mind. And the third would be Bangkok Days by Lawrence Osborne, who I think is technically the best writer who's ever worked here. I have other books I like better, but Bangkok Days is a magnificent portrait of a city. It's beautiful writing, absolutely.
What era
stellar
of Bangkok?
writing. Oh, I think he published that only, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that. Yeah, it's
Regarding
a very recent book.
the commercial sex industry, the book written back in 1957, you said?
Yeah.
Before I was born. Very close to you were? 50.
That is the year I was born.
Seven,
It was
yes.
published in 57, the same year as A World of Susie Wong. They are the same story. One told in Hong Kong, one told in Bangkok. And The World of Susie Wong went on to be hugely successful.
How did it go? How do you spell that?
PKKKKKKK. And it gave William Shatner a career. William Shatner came to America from Canada to appear in The World of Susie Wong on Broadway. Gave the world William Shatner, France Wynne.
We wouldn't have had Captain Kirk with that. Well, we would have
Yes,
had a different
exactly.
Captain Kirk.
Yes, we would have had a different Captain Kirk. But the reason, they're the same story told by equally talented writers. But A Woman of Bangkok has a sad ending. This woman destroys this man utterly. The World of Susie Wong, the woman is destroyed. She becomes a toy. She becomes a plaything of the Western male. that was much more palatable to the reading audience and film audience and Broadway audience of 1957 than a true-to-life description of what these women can do to an innocent, naive, stupid Western man.
Now, I was halfway through asking the question when you rudely interrupted.
That's me. That's my shizzle.
How has the commercial sex industry changed, and welcome to the Ducks, by the way, between 1957 and 2023?
Well, in 57, it was still tailored for the Thai market. It was dancing halls. There were no bar beers, there were no discos, there were no go-go's. There were dime-a-dance places where women in frilly dresses would let you pay to dance with them, and whatever you said to them during that dance might lead to an assignation later.
Oh, that sounds so much more pleasant.
Doesn't it?
Yes.
And the women would go up and sing, and you would buy a boomalai to express your interest. You would buy
what?
A garland, a jasmine garland, and hang it around their neck while they sang. And this still goes on in talent shows all over Thailand. But the only farang in the dance hall were airplane pilots and diplomats in 1957. There were no salesmen, there were no tourists. There is not a single mention of tourism in Thailand in the book, A Woman of Bangkok. So it was still tailored very much for the Thai market at that time.
Okay, interesting. Now, our next topic, I think actually it's our first real topic. And this one was brought up by you, so I'll get you to answer first. And it's the question of things that we miss from our home countries. In your case, the United States. In my case, the Commonwealth of Australia. So tell us, what is there more than one thing that you really miss?
Well, I miss my family and my friends very much, happily.
But you've got new friends here in Thailand.
Yeah, a few, and I'm very, very happy to have those thirsty.
Once every 2 weeks is enough.
And yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. I very much enjoy my alone time, and I hope my family and friends back in the States understand that. I made tacos for myself a few nights ago. I had not had Mexican food in 10 months, and I came here from Las Cruces, New Mexico. I used to have a Facebook page called Every Mexican Restaurant in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And I would go and eat the same thing every weekend at different restaurants in town.
I used to do tacos each week. We used to cook tacos. I do love
Taco
tacos.
Tuesday.
You can buy the taco kits at all supermarkets around Thailand, and you made your own ones.
Well, I had to go. I happened to go to Phuket with a friend. He was buying alcohol for his bar, so we went to the macro. And I happened to be standing in an aisle waiting for him, and I looked to my right, and there's all the stuff you need for tacos.
Isn't there a macro between here and Phuket?
Not that I'm aware of.
Wow.
There's a big C in Phang.
Macro is sort of a wholesale-ish, large barn
It's
type
a big box store
supermarket
that
thing.
sells Farang food. There's Villa and Macro on Phuket. Those are the two I know.
Villa Market. That's a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
Big C somewhere in the middle.
But anyway, it was my first Mexican food, my first tacos in 10 months. And I enjoyed it.
Excuse me.
Yeah. That's the Mexican food, folks.
There you go.
I enjoyed it much more than I expected to. That flavor in my mouth. I just had not. I had not known I was missing it.
Yeah.
So I was very happy to do that. I noticed there are certain comedians that I used to watch every day in America, and while I am no longer interested in the topics they're discussing, I have no interest in the next election in the United States. I go on YouTube and I'll watch their monologues. I enjoy very much now certain comedians, Stephen Colbert and people like that. And other than that, no, my life in the United States was a cubicle in a windowless room in the basement of a hospital, and I do not miss that cubicle at all. And that was America to me, 8 hours a day, 3 hours, 90 minutes to get there, 90 minutes to get home. My whole day was eaten up with work every single day.
So your wise, well-considered answer is Mexican food.
Well, friends and family. If
Family.
If I had to pick one thing, it would be my mother, my children, my cousins, and my few friends. Yeah.
Okay. All of which, of course, you can keep in contact with on
social media,
Mr.
YouTube,
Internet.
Hi, Mom. How you doing? Is it cold in Iowa right now? That was mean. I'm sorry.
Would it be
I'm
cold
sorry.
in Iowa now?
What month is this?
Autumn, spring. It's spring at the moment.
Yeah, we have
Heading
cold
towards
springs.
summer.
We have cold springs in Iowa. Yeah.
The best months in Melbourne, where I came from, was autumn, and I miss those long autumn evenings.
Okay, yeah.
When it's just cool enough to need to put a jacket on.
Yes. Sweater weather. I miss sweater weather. I do. Now that you brought it up.
But the one thing I miss, thanks for asking, Steve, is you're hopeless.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Because I used to live in Melbourne. Melbourne is a bit of a sort of Australian southern version of the West End or Broadway. Mm-hmm. It has a really good theatre scene, one of the best in the world. And I used to go once a week to go and see a live show. Now, it might be Disney on Ice, or it might be Phantom or something for the 18th time. But once a week, I would go and enjoy the theatre scene, live shows. We had such good live shows. Used to go to a lot of live improv. In fact, I even tried to participate in what we were called theatre sports. If you want the best practice for doing this, theatre sports, where you have teams of 4 and you participate in sort of improv games. One of the games, for example, would be you have a 4-line stanza, and the first, second, third, and fourth person have to do, just off the top of their head, a poem. So the first person says, "I was walking down the street one day," and the next person goes,
"In the merry, merry month of May."
Obviously, it has to be something original. And they've got the hardest job by far is the last person, who had to be the quickest, fastest person, and he had to listen very intently to what the second person said, because
he had to rhyme it.
He had to rhyme.
Yeah.
And of course, you do your best to sort of end the second sentence with something
orange,
like with a nasty one, like duck, forcing him down a particular track. But that was I was very difficult. I found theatre sports I'm not that fast on my feet.
Yeah. I had a teacher at university. I took a theatre degree, and I will mention, I miss live performance art. I do, now that you brought that up.
Yes, we don't have the time-long repertoire doing Phantom this week.
No, we don't put on a pantomime at Christmas. We have no Amdram in Turtle Beach. They do in Phuket.
Amdram?
Amateur drama.
Ah, yes. Joel, whose surname eludes me, they do quite a lot of theatre at the Grind Cafe, which is now called the...
We'll put a scroll down below.
I can't remember.
Sorry, Joel.
Junkyard Theatre.
There you go. Yeah.
And they do a really good job. So there is a little bit of live theatre, but I mean, it's amateur live theatre.
It is. And there is Thai performance art. There at the festivals, there are dancers and school groups. And
don't let me see another one of those Thai dancing things.
Yeah.
Few minutes of that.
Yeah. You know,
next.
I had a teacher at college who went to Australia on a movie crew. And he started teaching Australian actors how to speak with an American accent, because a lot of American production was moving to Canada and Australia and New Zealand.
It's where they made Elvis, the movie. It was made
there you go.
in Queensland.
Yeah. And so he's got to be retired by now, but he had a big, long career teaching Australians how to talk American. And the other Steve Rosse, R-O-S-S-E, in the world, if you Google that name, what'll come up is a guy who plays the tuba in the Sydney Opera House. He is the resident tubaist, and he's a big name in the world of
maybe just
brass
tubist.
Instruments. Tubist. He plays the tube. But that's the other Steve Rosse. So if you Google me and you see a guy with a tuba, that's not me.
When it comes to accents, now this might sound like we're sort of sparring a bit here, but I would have thought, as I try and lean against the chair, that Australian actors are much more adept at doing American accents than vice versa.
Perhaps so. I don't know.
Hugh Jackman.
I suck at any kind of dialect. But you don't hear so much about...
I recall Meryl Streep who played Lindy Chamberlain in Evil Angels, which was about a mother who claimed that her baby was stolen by a dingo. And Meryl Streep did the singular worst Australian accent. Became
A dingo ate my baby.
That's the one. And it was about as good as that too.
Yeah. I suck. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Perhaps it's because in America we perhaps have a wider variety of accents. A man from New York won't be able to understand a man from Alabama. The California accent, a lot of people hate that accent. So we have a wider variety of accents. So maybe our
Boston accent?
A Boston accent, pack the car in the garage. A New York accent, et cetera, et cetera. This is an Iowa accent. And perhaps our ears are more attuned to hearing vagaries in speech, whereas Aussies are used to a particular accent. I don't know.
I remember,
but it is right. I think you're correct. There are many fewer American actors trying that Meryl Streep thing.
Maybe there's just a lot less stories in Australia. Anyway, I recall asking the question, and it sort of was the word that really sort of helped me zone in on the southern accent in America. The Confederate accent, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And I was staying back in 1991, I was staying with different families on a Rotary group study exchange trip. And I was staying with this spinster who was living on a bayou in Louisiana. And she was living it was like the whole southern, it was the set of Gone with the Wind. And she was coiffed and beautiful and wore velvet dresses, dressed up every night. And she'd sit at one end of this huge long table and I'd sit at the other end. Had a very thick accent, but a very beautiful older woman. She would have been in her 60s and 70s.
Delta Dawn, what's that flower you have?
And I said to her one day, look, you've got all this wealth and you've got this lovely house. Just wondering, where would you like to travel? Anywhere in the world, where would you like to travel if you got, because she didn't have a passport. If you were to get a passport. And she sort of sat there and she said, I'd like to go to Mississippi.
Yeah.
Which is the state next door.
Sure, yeah.
That was her dream trip.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good accent.
That's back in 1991.
Run, Forrest, run.
So the next question for you is, the next question for all of us. This is more or something I'm just noticing, and pardon me for being a bit newsy for a moment, but there has been somewhat of a rash of Chinese businessmen being kidnapped for ransom. I remember a few weeks ago, every week I sort of open up the publications. Well, I don't scroll up, and it's another, people have been arrested for another kidnapping. And I'm thinking, is this that kidnapping or is it another one? Mm-hmm. Because some of the Chinese names are a bit harder to remember. What is going on with all these kidnappings?
I don't know. I suppose somebody did it once and was successful. And so now everybody wants to try it. Maybe people who feel under threat of kidnapping are trying to get away and they land in Thailand and they still get kidnapped. I don't know, but I think your observation is correct. It's one of those stories that seems hot right now.
I was thinking that it might be, I think a lot of wealthy Chinese like to sort of show off their trappings of wealth, drive a nice car, wear the jewelry, and they're sort of a little bit more obvious and perhaps making themselves out to be a bit more of a target.
And they're rude as hell.
Allegedly.
Allegedly rude as hell. I have no idea other than I have noticed that too. Do you want to kidnap somebody? Shall we give it a shot and see how it goes?
Well, it probably explains why you're not being kidnapped, because you don't really have those trappings of wealth.
No. No jewelry. No.
Nobody
nothing.
Wants to steal a man pedaling along on his turquoise-coloured bike.
He who steals my purse steals trash, as the bard said. The bicycle's the most expensive thing. Well, I suppose my iPhone is the most expensive thing.
Could you sit that seat any higher?
No, that is literally as high as it will go. The guy who bought my bicycle for me, Kun O, bless his heart, love that man, and he maintains it for me. But I think typically they're graduated in 2 inches bicycle frames, and I think this is 2 inches too small for me.
Look at that!
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have very long, skinny legs. It is what I need is a higher frame. But yeah, I have very long, skinny legs, and I'm on that bike for 20 kilometers every morning, and it is
I'm back.
the best time of my day.
Except when I'm here.
That's the best time of my week, but the best time of every day, and that's really cool. Having it done in the morning, having done my exercise in the morning.
I've got to think about turquoise. I'm thinking.
I like blue.
Turquoise fan.
I like blue very much, and everything in Thailand, they don't sell saturated colors. Everything is in pastels. So if you like blue, you're going to get baby blue, robin's egg blue, sky blue. You're not going to get navy. You're not going to get teal.
They love painting their houses in those same sort of pastel colours.
I think that's a tropical thing. You see that in the Caribbean a lot too.
So I'm going to say 2 words to you, and over to you. Eustachian tubes. Tell me about your eustachian tubes, Steve.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about Steve's infirmities. Steve is 65 years old, and despite getting on the bicycle every day for 20 kilometers, he's got a lot of things wrong with him physically. One of the things, because of a 50-year pack-a-day smoking history, my sinuses are all screwed up, and the eustachian tubes, which equalize pressure on either side, they're just a little canal that goes around the eardrum, and they equalize pressure inside and outside of your head.
See,
and
I knew you'd be interested.
Yeah, and oh, you asked the question.
Sure.
I'm
getting ready.
At any rate, they get plugged up. And when they cannot adjust pressure, then everything I say sounds thunderously loud in this ear. And it comes and goes, and today it has come. And so that's what I'm dealing with at the moment.
How do you go flying? Do they act up when you're going?
I don't think I've noticed it more flying. I have had terrible, which sinuses are these over the orbit of the eyeball?
The sinus. I call that the sinus.
Well, each sinus has a name, but...
there are multiple sinus?
Oh, yeah.
Are they sinuses or sinusi?
No, sinuses.
Or sinai?
Sinuses, yeah. At any rate, yeah, so I get really bad sudden headaches on a descent. As soon as they go bing, bing, we're going to come down for landing, as soon as the plane starts to come down, my head feels like it's going to explode. Just real sharp, terrible pains right here.
I think they could drill them out or something for you.
They probably could, but as I no longer have health insurance, that won't be happening.
I could probably do it for less.
Well, thank you for the offer. I will put that in my back pocket and keep that should I need that in the future, that offer. I will hold you to that.
You have to...
Yeah. People have commented, if I do that, it'll clear up for a moment, but only for a moment until I speak again. So, yeah, and people are saying, why are you pinching your nose all the time?
Speaking of health, I mean, we have to face the fact that we probably have fewer years ahead of us than behind us.
Yeah.
And there will be some stage where different health things start failing here and there. You're just a bit ahead of me. So I was wondering, just on a serious note, what is the one thing you really fear? What faculty do you really fear losing, or health issue? I know what you're going to say. Go on.
Well, as a cis hetero male, yeah, impotence, and being unable to read a book now, not having the tenacity to be able to sit and read a novel, that really bothers
I've got a solution for that one.
What's that?
Audiobooks.
Yes, when I had a 3-hour commute, I listened to a ton of books in the car, and audiobooks are wonderful because you get that performance aspect along with, I listened to the first 3 Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire, the first 3 George R.R. Martin Game of Thrones books, and they're all read by an actor named Roy Dotrice, who's an old Vic Shakespearean actor. And he is in the Guinness Book of World Records as having done the most character voices of any audio book. He does 400 separate voices for the Song of Ice and Fire. And guy's in his 70s, and he does make a cameo in the television show. But listening to him This Shakespearean actor in his 70s doing children's voices it's an amazing acting lesson. But let me be serious, okay? You asked, what do I fear? Yes, I had before it was removed, I had the world's largest prostate. My urologist, Dr. Moshe Vold from Israel, it was a teaching hospital, University of Iowa, and every 6 months I'd go in and have to have my exam, right? The digital exam. And there was always a room full of...
Bend over, Mr. Ross.
Yeah, room full of nursing students and medical students, everyone else. And he would pick the youngest female in the room to do the exam. And he'd say, I want you to feel Steve's prostate. You'll never in your life feel a prostate this big. Get your finger in there. Really get it in there.
With the biggest fingernails.
Yeah, well, it'd be a 20-year-old Indian woman, right, with little tiny fingers. And she'd be digging around in there. But one of the things that comes with BPH, benign prostatic hypertension, is problems with ejaculation, not with erection, but ejaculation. Sex was problematic for me for 10 years. It was difficult. Sometimes it was painful. Once I had my...
Gee, preparing the thumbnail for this week's going to be interesting.
Yeah. What you asked.
Sure, I did.
Once I had that thing enucleated. They took out the center of it. They left the capsule that has the nerve and the artery. It was like I was 17 years old again. I swear to God. It was great, and it remains great to this day. So I've had, in my old age, rather than a diminishment of those faculties, I have had this amazing, miraculous resurgence. Resurgence. And I'm single, and I live in Thailand. So, yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, reading.
Didn't quite answer the question. That answers the question.
Yeah.
So I think, in my case, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
It's just pain. I'm not looking forward to pain. I think pain is difficult to manage, and I don't really want to suffer too much pain.
That makes perfect sense to me.
I'm not good with pain.
Neither do I. No.
I'm not very good at taking... I don't really like taking medication. So I'm not really looking forward to that. But I think, again, just getting yourself ready, accepting the fact that you are going to get older, all these things are important these days. Planning and making sure that you've got enough money or enough resources if you're going to stay in Thailand, that you've got some means of staying here without causing others problems. Luckily, Steve has got me.
Yeah, he'll take care of me. I've had 2 heart attacks. The third one will kill me, and those are extremely painful. But if it's one that kills you, it's brief, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it'll be that. It'll be sudden. It'll be on the beach at dawn, and because if you die in a house in Thailand, you're screwing your landlord. He can't now rent that house. He can't sell that house.
He doesn't have to tell people.
The neighbors will.
Well,
sure. I mean, who buys a house without going next door and talking to the neighbors?
Why do Thais, as we digress here, why are they so possessed with ghosts?
I don't know. It's something they certainly think about.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Even very intelligent, educated people, they still believe in ghosts.
Sure. Yeah, and they won't live someplace where there's been a death. They won't, if they can help it, they won't live in that house. And
can I make a prediction
Sure.
that you are going to live well past May this year?
Thank you.
You've only got
right.
less than a month to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're going to zoom it in, because we've got to get this program up to 100 episodes. Then you can
syndication.
go. Then you can go.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, I hope you're right. I'm living my life assuming that you are correct. But
so we've done your eustachian tubes, we've done your erections. Just finally,
I could do another half hour on the erections thing.
I'm sure you could. So I was going to finally, your observations, just briefly, about Songkran. We've sort of got Songkran in the rear view mirror. How do they celebrate Songkran in Thailand?
The same way everywhere else, but it's much more gentle and loving and sweet, and it's only a day. They don't throw water for 3 days or 10 days.
Did you
It's
end
one
up with
day.
a bucket of water thrown at you?
I was out there barefoot on the pavement from 9 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. And it inflamed my plantar fasciitis. Let me tell you about my plantar fasciitis.
Oh, God.
No, but yeah, I bought months ago in Kokloi, I found a bunch of squirt guns for 20 baht each. Big ones, right? Shuka. And I bought a bunch of them, and I handed them out to everybody on the street. And we had a good time. We had a real good time. And we were filling up, trucks going past that had run out of their water. We were filling those up.
I wonder.
It was great fun.
For those people who go to places like Bangla Road or in Pattaya and the water starts sort of building up in the areas, and they start sort of you're sort of wandering around in this warm, grey mess, and they lean down with it, they suck up the water and start firing. I think, I don't want that stuff in my eye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't do that here. Yeah, Turtle Beach, it's still very traditional, very sweet. When they put the goop on your face, they do it lovingly, and they
Prickly
say,
powder and water.
I didn't get any of the Snake brand prickly heat powder this time. And they ask first, do you mind? May I? And then they do your face.
Well, that is
It
sweet.
was great fun. And saw my neighbors, recognized people going past, people from shops I shop in and stuff. And, this is a very small place, and everybody knows each other, and nobody's going to try to hurt each other, try to knock each other off motorcycles and crap like that. That's all in the Farang ghettos. It's ugly and crass and dangerous in the Farang ghettos. In Soi Cowboy, Soi Bangla, Loi Khao Road, in Chiang Mai, Walking Street. That's where it's an ugly, dangerous thing. Everywhere else, I think it is still sweet and lovely.
So that's Songkran in Tai Muang. And we have been coming to you from the Boontongs Beach Bar, which is sort of the home of Steve's programs. And it's sort of a highlight on his channel. And Steve's channel is listed underneath this video. And you can go to his channel and your life will never be the same. You can find out
things.
You'll see things.
Disturbing things.
And you can learn about Steve's eustachians and his erections and a whole lot more.
Oh, no, I saved that for here, Tim.
Oh,
I don't
special
talk about that stuff on my channel. No. My channel's too special.
So I get demonetized, not you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for dropping in. Oh, I'm here in your house in Boontongs Beach Bar again.
Thank you for coming, Tim, and thank you for inviting me and including me. I'm very, very flattered and pleased, and I appreciate it very much. And thank you for watching, you at home.
Especially Clive.
He keeps bringing it up. Yeah, especially Clive.
And I have had a fan on the iPhone, which is the camera we use, and I've just noticed that the camera's been moving the entire time. So if you're feeling a bit seasick now at the end of the program, that's why.
Huh.
It's just gently,
we can do it all over.
There. And Steve haloed there by a turtle in the background. Beautifully lovely. Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Your turtle's bigger than mine.
We're wearing turtle hats.
Thanks for coming. We'll see you again next time. This has been Grumpy Old Men. Link to Steve's channel in the description below. Please subscribe to the channel. Have I forgot anything? Like the video. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.